talking about today is goal achieving. And I picked goal achieving. Lyndon and I had talked about attitudes, behaviors, and techniques of success. It is January. Does anyone know what Saturday is? Or maybe it's Friday. Friday the 17th? Anybody? By Friday the 17th, by the 17th of January, 97% of people who have set New Year's resolutions have already forgotten them. So any of you who go to the gym won't be crowded anymore. Everything else that you do, I don't know what you guys set for resolutions, but we're going to talk about some goals. I imagine a couple of you in here have some goals. More than a couple? Can I see show of hands? Anybody who's got a goal that they're working on presently? So this will be applicable to 7 of you. Awesome. So goal achieving. What this is a 5-step process that I promise you, if you follow these attitudes, these behaviors, and these techniques, you will see measurable and noticeable improvement toward your goal. I promise you that. What it is not, however, is it is not SMART goals. Who in here is familiar with SMART goals? All right, the S stands for specific. M, measurable. A, attainable. R, realistic. T, time-bound. This is not SMART goals. SMART goals, no offense to any of you who are big believers in SMART goals, but SMART goals are cold and they are clinical and they are just completely devoid of passion. So this will not be SMART goals. This also is not dependent on your past success. So some of you failures out here in the room, rest assured you can still do this too, I promise you. It also, if you are huge and you've achieved every goal, I promise you that you can apply this and see measurable results as well. So I want you to think for just a quick second, maybe 5, maybe 10, how would your life change if you were to achieve some of the goals that you have set for yourself presently? Think on that for just 1 second. And what I want to ask you, and maybe you will give me some audience participation here, but what's presently getting in your way? Or what's getting in the guy next to you's way? Maybe that's easier to talk about. Why aren't you achieving the goal that you have set for you? Or why aren't your peers achieving the goals that they have set for themselves? Anybody? Bueller? Time. Well, time, awesome. Resources such as? Money. Any other resources?
Intelligence.
Everyone, what was that? Intelligence, fair. Don't pick on TJ, he can't help it. I'm going to say you might have started it. I don't know. What else? Conflict. What else? Priorities. What else?
Clear definition of the goal.
Ooh, that's a good one. Clear definition of the goal. What else? Anybody have some fear or know anyone who maybe is not acting based on fear? You can just kind of give you a, and then that way no one will know it was you. I was speaking the other day on this exact topic, and one of the things that came up that I found was fascinating was actually the fear of success. Have you ever known anyone that actually has a fear of success? They do these little things and they end up actually self-sabotaging somewhere down the road. So it's very real, even if you've never experienced it, and it is actually a big one. So I'm going to give you these 5 steps, the first of which is know your goal. I'll run through them really quickly. There's paper if you want to take notes, but don't worry, I will not be offended if you walk out as TJ suggested. I'll get the hook if it starts getting boring. But the first of these 5 steps is know your goal. The second is having a willingness to fail at the method, but not at the goal. The third is to become a student of the business. Number 4 is to live intentionally. And number 5 is to review, reevaluate, and redesign. Now I want to start with know your goal, because I do think, let's go back here, pick your goal. I want to start with know your goal, and I want you all to have a goal in mind as you work through this. You don't have to tell anyone, but take 1 more second and pick a goal that you are presently working on. Does anyone not have one? We can find one for you. We can give you a goal if you are goalless. So, in knowing your goal, if you've heard me speak before, you've heard me reference the book Switch, because I absolutely think it illustrates beautifully one of the key things that we often forget. And Switch likens the sides of our brains to an elephant and a rider. The elephant being the emotional component of our brain, and the rider being the more rational, logical component of our brain. And if you can visualize for a second a rider who wants to get to camp somewhere over there before nightfall, and a big, giant, huge elephant who wants to get to the watering hole over there. And you can picture the rider on this elephant, and you can picture pulling the elephant trying to get to camp. What will ultimately happen if the elephant indeed wants to go that way? The elephant's going to win. Anyone think they can beat an elephant? Anybody? Good. So the elephant is ultimately going to win out. And how this pertains to our goals, and particularly to New Year's resolutions, is our rational side sets these resolutions, these specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound resolutions. They're set very rationally. The elephant gets scared, the elephant gets confused, the elephant gets frustrated, annoyed, fill in the blank, and he takes off and says, forget that. And he is much stronger than the rational guy trying to steer him over to camp. So we must know our goal. The common denominator of success, if you email me, I'll send you this 8-page PDF, but it's written by Albert Grayson 60 years ago. And he says the common denominator of success, and what specifically refers to men, but women we know. He says what makes successful men successful. Successful men have a habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. Not because they like to, but because they have a purpose strong enough to keep them doing the things that failures don't like to do. So if we want to align that elephant and that rider, we must have purpose. Well, how do you get purpose? One of the ways we can find our purpose is through an activity I like to call mindstorming. Now, we don't have time to go through it today, but I want you to do this. If you're really serious about your goal, I want you to spend some time doing this at home, quiet place, and I want you to come up with at least 20 purposes for that goal you set. When you say, I want to make $100,000, ask yourself, why does that matter? Why would that matter? What would you do with $100,000?
College fund. College fund.
College fund. Why does that matter?
Because education is important.
So what? Why does that matter?
Follow the trail.
Because you don't want your child to live in home
There you
forever.
Yes.
There you go. Now that's a big purpose, isn't it? So that's how we go down and get 20. We need to at least get 20. No fewer. You hear me? No fewer than 20. The reason is the first one isn't really our passion. That third one, though, we were really getting somewhere. And when you run out, come up with another idea and keep asking yourself why it matters. The next thing, and again, we don't have time for this today, but I really encourage you, because this is a critical part of knowing your goal, and it's actually visualizing your goal, not as it exists in the future, but as if you have it already. Now, I'm not saying affirmations like I want to make $100,000, because what does that point out? I want to make $100,000. That points out that I don't have it. So I want you to visualize what you'd be doing. I want you to go through the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and actually see it through the eyes of someone who already has it. Now at first, does anyone remember those kind of bluish, greenish, digitized prints that were in the mall in the 90s, and you walk past and you kind of look at them all squeezy-eyed and try to get a 3D image to pop out? Remember those? Remember how the first time you saw it, it was a little bit difficult, maybe you couldn't even get it the first time you saw it? Remember how after a while, after you got used to that, you walk through the mall and you'd say, oh, look, a dolphin! You really say, it's Mickey Mouse. So the same thing is true with visualizing our goals. The first few times you do it, it's going to be more difficult to have it feel like it's real. The first time it's going to be like you're watching a movie. But eventually, if you do it often enough, it'll be just like those images and it will pop out, and that is critical. So the second is a willingness to fail at the method, not at the goal. And if anyone's read Good to Great by Jim Collins, they've heard of the Stockdale paradox. A Vietnam Navy most highly decorated naval officer, or one of the most highly decorated naval officers, James Stockdale, was captured and became a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He was there for some 8 years. And when Jim Collins was interviewing him for the book on who literally lived and who died in those POW camps, one of the things that came out when Jim asked Mr. Stockdale is he said, the people who died were the optimists. Now raise your hand, this is audience participation. Raise your hands if you've been told to be an optimist, or if you believe in being an optimist. Not you? Okay, I understand. So, we've been told to be an optimist, and I'm not saying to be a pessimist. What I'm saying is exactly what the Stockdale paradox says, which is you cannot confuse the conviction that you will achieve your goal with not actually understanding and facing the brutal realities that are in front of you. So, James Stockdale, POW camp, very brutal realities, being starved, being beaten, many, many things. And the reason the optimists died is because the optimists were the ones that are saying, I'm going to get out by Christmas. And Christmas would come and Christmas would go and they would still be in a POW camp. That's okay, we're going to get out by Easter. Easter would come, Easter would go, and they were still there. And they said, okay, it's all right, this Christmas, this is the one. And he said they literally died of a broken heart. The optimism alone was not enough. Hence, the time-bound issue in some SMART goals can really cause people to give up on their goals when they realize they're not going to lose 60 pounds in the next 2 weeks, except for some major flu. So the idea here is that we need to have conviction with the achievement of the goal, but have this willingness to fail, thank you, AJ, this willingness to fail, or this bending like a reed mentality about how and when we're going to achieve it. We just know that we are. Brian Tracy says, your persistence is your measure of your faith in yourself. Think about that for a second. Your persistence is your measure of your faith in yourself. Literally, how often you continue to get up after you fall is the degree to which you believe in your ability. So I want you to think really quickly about a great personal achievement that you've had, something that you're still proud of, even though it happened 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. And think about how many obstacles you had to overcome to achieve that thing. Quite a number, right? Quite a number. The things that we are most proud of are the things that were hardest fought. Number 3 is to become a student of the business. In college, I sold books door to door. I was a Southwestern book kid. Anyone buy books from those people or slam the door in their face? Yeah, no one? Well, be nice to them. They're good kids. I sold books door to door, and they said there's 3 things that you need to be successful. Positive mental attitude. You need to do 30 demos a day. You need to be a student of the business. A student of the business meant learning from everyone that I could. It meant learning from everything that I could. And it meant viewing myself in a constant state of improvement. And so one of the things that I like to compare this to is success osmosis. Who remembers the 5th grade science concept osmosis? Anybody? What is more dense will fill what is less dense, right? So we are, if our goal is something to be achieved, in a sense, we are less dense presently. And whatever is around us will be filling us, filling our minds, filling our belief systems. We must make sure that what we are surrounding ourselves with is more dense. That means listening to audiobooks, TED Talks, having a mentor, being a mentor. You fill in the blank, but learn by success osmosis. Tony Robbins says most people's lives are a reflection of their peer group. Look around you. Look around your other peer groups. So just think really quick what you're doing now and what you could be doing. 4th, and we're almost done, is to live intentionally. A concept that I found really helpful to living intentionally is the power hour concept. So just 20 minutes for 3 different things, totaling 1 hour every day, working toward my goal. Working toward the attitude of my goal, the behavior of my goal, and the technique of my goal. It's been very helpful, and that is one of the ways that I've seen goal achievement faster than anything I've tried to date. Make sure you plan and make sure you follow your plan. No shooting from the hip, no winging it. Right? You don't want your pilot to be winging it. You don't want your surgeon to be winging it. Why would you wing it? Don't wing it. And remember that delayed gratification there's actually studies on nations where the population has more or less delayed gratification. The nations that are more successful exhibit more delayed gratification. So make sure you don't trade what you want the most for what you want in the moment. And then lastly, if anyone remembers the Stephen Covey example of putting the big rocks in first, I won't go into detail. Google it if you've not heard of that one, but put your big rocks in first. Remember, what can you do today? The fifth and final step is to review, reevaluate, and redesign. This means that we are a work in progress. We are always going back to the drawing board and seeing what works and what doesn't work. In order to actually know what's working and what isn't working, though, we must be tracking what we are in fact doing. Have you ever heard the person that goes to the casino and says, "Oh, I always win. Every time I go, I always win." Lucky? What do we know about the house? The house always wins. So that person is a liar. It is statistically impossible for them to always win. What's happening is that we have bias to protect ourselves, to protect our spirit. And so sometimes we are biased towards things being more painful than they actually are. Sometimes we are biased to things being less painful than they actually are. And we make up our own realities. Track, and track some more. That's kind of it. So the five are: know your goal, willingness to fail is the method, not the goal, become a student of the business, live intentionally, review, reevaluate, and redesign. And what will you do? I challenge you all to do one of those things today. Do I have time for a drawing, or did I run out?
Yeah, I probably have time for drawing.
Quick drawing. I'm going to draw a giveaway book. Does anyone want a book? It's a cool book. The Sandler Rules. David Sandler, this is the guy, I trained Sandler stuff. I won't go into a ton of detail. But if you would all take out a business card.
Thank you.
Nice. I saw what you did there. So if you would all take out a business card, and no obligation, but write on your business card, if you want to meet with me and you want me to follow up with you, just put an M on your business card. If you want me to speak somewhere else, put an S on your business card. If you want our e-newsletter, put an E on your business card. Like I said, no obligation. If you put nothing on your business card, I don't care. I throw it out. If you need it back, you can have it back. But I just want to get in contact with the folks that do want more information. Pass those forward. TJ is making it happen. And if you do want to contact me in any of these ways, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to speak at any of your other clubs or any of your other groups or in your office or fill in the blank. And I just want to say thanks for having me. I hope there was a takeaway there for you to achieve your goals and get to January 18th without giving up.
There you go. Pick this one.
Thunderbird, Roger Jensen.
All right.
Thunderbird.
Roger Jensen, you want to put, all right?
Is he here?
Yes. Right there.
Well, you didn't give me the hook. I hope.
Yeah. Any questions? I really like the osmosis. One of the things about this club is everyone is very dense. So,
Yes.
is there any other questions? Anything we wanted to ask? All right. I'm sure Marjorie will be breaking stuff down. So if there's a question that you wanted to ask her, but not in front of a large group of people, I'm sure she'll be here to answer that afterwards. So let's thank Marjorie for coming and presenting. All right. Nice to see all of you. We'll be back at it again next week.